Last week we talked about news of Alex Karp selling some of his shares, leading Palantir Stock to be going down into the holiday weekend when most tech stocks were up pretty significantly. Today, tech stocks are up again, but Palantir is, as of this morning, outperforming them. If you're wondering why, I got some news to share with you. Welcome to Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise, where we talk about all things that can improve our financial wellness, whether it's by looking to invest in the next big company or just by doing those little, smart, everyday things that we can do to build wealth and financial independence. As always, I want to thank all of you in the community for checking in and always supporting the channel by being generous with a like button, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and even sharing the videos with your friends. And because I know a lot of you are very interested in Palantir, I definitely make sure we touch base on them here every so often. And for anyone new here, my name is Kevin, and I'm going to welcome you here for the first time. Definitely check out the video, and if you end up liking it, consider this your formal invitation to join the community. After all, it's totally free, and by subscribing, you'll make sure you don't miss any upcoming videos. Alright, so let's get to the task at hand. Palantir Stock, PLTR. On Thursday, I had a video on Palantir where we talked about Alex Karp selling his shares that put pressure on the stock down. Now my take was not to worry about it. This is typical, very typical for a company that first goes public, and it's only been a little over a month since lockup agreements expired, and really it's the first opportunity for those founders, insiders, employees of the company that have owned stock to be able to sell it on the public markets. And so it just makes sense that they're going to finally start to realize some of their gains from owning the stock. So just as an aside, sort of have a little crazy thing about that video, and again, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But I told you guys recently I've made the jump onto TikTok, and I made a short clip from cuts of that video. So again, nothing new on there, just taking a condensed version. And for the better part of 2 days, that video was taken down for violating community guidelines of TikTok. Now, I was pretty fired up and almost made a video about it, but I really had no time over the weekend, and it was back up again last week. So for right now, I'm letting TikTok off the hook, but if they do it again, I will do a video on it. So anyways, so this morning the NASDAQ was continuing its recent run up in the green, and Palantir was up as well. Now when you saw that, you might have had a couple questions that came to mind, such as, was Palantir stock up because of a general trend for tech being up? Or was it that investors realized that they oversold on the insider trading news? Well, it could be a bit of both of that, but most of the reason is more than likely news of a new contract. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. So let's take a look at the press release. So in the release, Palantir Technologies announced that it had been selected by the National Nuclear Security Administration, or NNSA, to provide its Office of Safety, Infrastructure, and Operations with a platform for effective knowledge management and data-driven decision-making in an agreement worth up to $89.9 million for a duration of up to 5 years. Now, if you haven't never heard of the NNSA, and I'll be the first to tell you, I hadn't either, at the bottom of the release, and again, you can see this right on Palantir's website, they have the dedicated area for investors. It says that the NNSA was established by Congress in the year 2000 and is a semi-autonomous agency within the U.S. Department of Energy responsible for enhancing national security through the military application of nuclear sciences. Basically, it says that the agency maintains and enhances the safety, security, and effectiveness of the U.S. nuclear weapons stockpile. It works to reduce the global danger from weapons of mass destruction, provides the U.S. Navy with safe and military effective nuclear propulsion in response to nuclear and radiological emergencies in the U.S. and abroad. Alright, so that's a little bit about the agency, and it's, again, back to the release, it says that Palantir will serve as the platform for NNSA's Safety, Analytics, Forecasting, and Evaluation Reporting Project, which they call SAFER. And the idea behind SAFER is that it will help the NNSA in their mission to manage nuclear security by allowing it to best allocate its human and financial resources to prioritize safety. And then after the details of the actual contract, probably the most important line here is that it says this is Palantir's first contract with the NNSA. Alright, so that's the news that, again, that most likely moved the stock up as of this morning. And this is one of those videos, again, I'm doing in the middle of the day, so you never know how it's going to finish the day off with. But the question we have to ask is, what do we think? Is this a big deal? And for me personally, I think it's positive. Any new deal is always positive. I like the fact that it's with the new government agency, so it's not an extension or an enhancement of a previous contract, which we've seen many of those. And most of the time I just tell you, like, that's always good news, but probably not as important as if it was a new contract. Well, again, this is a new contract. But at the end of the day, it's still a government agency, and that really is Palantir's bread and butter. So for me, there are two parts of this news that make it not a game changer. The first is being that government agency. If it was a commercial contract, I'd be a little bit more excited about it. So again, that's one of the reasons why I don't think it's a big game changer, because it's not really expanding their reach. Now, obviously, getting a deal with an agency within the Department of Energy is a good thing, and it's funny. I made a video about when Texas was having all those issues, and talked about, does Palantir have an opportunity with within energy in infrastructure there, and so who knows? Maybe this could be more into that. Now, the other thing that keeps this being a game changer for me is the details of the deal. Now, I do like the fact that we got a dollar amount on the deal, but because we had a dollar amount, we can actually look more into it. So roughly the deal is worth about $90 million divided over up to 5 years. So let's just say that, again, this isn't always the way to do it, but let's just say you're getting $18 million a year for 5 years. Based on that $18 million revenue for 2021, and we know that Palantir has expectations of 30% year-over-year growth of revenue from 2020 to 2021. And they reported $1.1 billion in 2020. And that was right from the earnings report, which we covered in another video. Again, adding that 30%, we would expect about 2021 revenue to come in about $1.4 billion. So when you look at the amount of revenue for this year from this contract, which would be $18 million, that would be about 1.2 to 1.3 of this year's total revenue. So while any positive revenue is good, obviously we never hear about the contracts that end or customers that leave Palantir. So for me, it's positive, but 1.2% revenue doesn't excite me as if it was a 20% increase of revenue from one contract. Again, this is just going to be part of that 30% expectation that they're planning to have for 2021. So when I look at the details of this Palantir deal, just like last week, I just, again, don't think this news is make or break. So again, when Alex Karp sells some of his shares, again, which is not the majority of his shares, that to me is not a big deal. And again, while any news of a new contract is positive, this particular deal or new contract isn't one that's moving the needle that much for me. Again, positive, but not enough that's going to move the stock big time. At least I wouldn't think so. And it probably won't, but again, we'll see what happens, and by the end of the day, who knows what will happen. But that's what I think. Now, what do you guys think? Is it a big deal or not? Let us know in the comments. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please press that like button and share with your friends and on any of your social media sites and forums you're on. Anything you can do to help me grow the channel will allow me to justify putting more resources towards it. And if you're new to the channel or just an occasional visitor, we'd love to have you join the community. Again, totally free. You just got to press that red subscribe button. We'd love to have you on board. So until next time, thank you for watching and have a great day.